Glad you could join us. Now, this year's heightened rainy season does not only come with the dangers of flooding, tidal waves, and other natural disasters. It also comes with the increased risk of a cholera outbreak. Now, between 2014 and 2017, Ghana recorded 30,000 cases of the severe diarrheal disease with 250 deaths. This was our worst outbreak in 30 years. Further efforts have been made since then to prevent a further outbreak, but the Ghana Public Health Association (GPHA) is warning the public to step up these efforts as the rainy season heightens. In a statement, the association called on the Ghana Health Service to educate the public to increase sanitation efforts to avert any disaster. Coincidentally, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly (AMA) has declared Saturday, August 5, that is tomorrow, as a National Sanitation Day. And I have the statement here with me. It reads, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly AMA wishes to remind the general public that Saturday, August 5 is National Sanitation Day. In respect of this directive, all residents, departments and agencies, corporate organizations, markets, drivers, opinion leaders, traditional authorities, teachers, students, pupils are enjoined to come out with their cleansing tools to clean their respective communities, places of work, homes, and surroundings. Pursuant to this directive, there will be a vigorous enforcement of the AMA Environmental Sanitation Day Bylaws 1995. That means shops, markets, and other commercial activities must remain closed between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. These bylaws further direct transport operators to undertake a general cleaning of all lorry parks and bus stations with minimum movement of vehicles except those of emergency and security services. Now, the AMA will appreciate if residents, traders, and transport owners will seize this opportunity to clean their respective areas to assist the AMA achieve the President's vision of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa. Public health officers, that is Sama and Samai, will be visiting households and entities to inspect their sanitation condition and issue notices or summons if necessary during this period. So this is what the AMA is saying. Now, we want to know if, these efforts that we have been putting in place over the years, I must say, because this is not the first time, have really yielded much. So let's situate this situation with the state of sanitation in some parts of Accra. Watch this.
Ready.
So that is the situation in some streets and beaches here in Accra. And we've been joined by the chairman of the Ghana Public Health Association, Dr. Norman. Doctor, thank you for your time. How serious is this risk of an outbreak?
Let me correct. I'm not the chairman of the Public Health Association. I'm the chairman of a unit. Oh. The unit in charge of disaster emergency, health emergencies, and anything having to do with emergency. Right.
Thank you.
All right. I think the existential threat of a major outbreak is real because the fundamentals when it comes to sanitation is not very good. And I do not know where this country lost its collective consciousness for cleanliness to a situation where we are, where people don't seem to care, and that they think that it's a duty of government to come and clean their neighborhoods for them, and it's a duty of civil society organizations to do this. If it's going to be the duty of government to do everything for everybody, then I think government has a responsibility and a moral duty to create a tax situation for sanitation. Because we cannot, when people were smoking so much in public, we increased taxes on smoking. I believe that, and that helped to reduce, it increased the cost of cigarette and reduce the amount of consumption. I think people need to pay for the harm they cause to society when people drop their garbage anywhere. Then we should be able to tell them that, yes, you can drop it, but you're going to pay for dropping it. And so there should be a progressive tax on sanitation in this country to make people more responsible by speaking about cholera.
So that is what you think the solution really is?
It's part of the solution. It is part of the solution.
How does it help that in itself?
Because you need money to clean up the city. This city is very big. This city has a lot of people, 4.5 million people. And if everybody is going to the supermarket, is going to the market and coming back home with a plastic bag, that bag at some point is going to fly off and it's going to end in a gutter somewhere. I believe that government should make it obligatory for shops and supermarkets to use paper and ban plastic in a general stream of commerce. I know that there are certain areas where you cannot ban. Sachet water is extremely important to the health outcomes of the people of Ghana, especially those lowest at the totem pole of the economic structure. I believe that there are others that can afford to pay for the plastic products they use. In addition to public education, in addition to personal responsibility to cleanliness, almost every single Ghanaian believes in God, whether they are Muslims or Christians or traditional believers. We can't have the kingdom of God in such a filthy understructure. We have to take responsibility. Government has to do its part. The environmental companies, cleaning companies, they have to do their part. Local government has to rise up to the duty.
You know, it's interesting that you mention specific government policies that can be put in place, because in a jurisdiction like Rwanda, where, you know, this sanitation campaign revolutionized under the reign of Paul Kagame, one of the things that has been mentioned as being responsible was the ban of import of plastics. And also initiatives like a National Sanitation Day. We have taken that, they have a different name for it, but we have taken that element of the National Sanitation Day and we are implementing it sort of on its own. Would you say that is advisable?
It is fantastic. And it's interesting you brought Kigali. I was once there and I dared a friend of mine, and he said if I could walk 7 kilometers and find a butt of cigarette on the ground, he'll buy me dinner.
Wow.
And I did. In and out, going on one side of the road, coming back from the other side of the road. I did not find one single cigarette butt on the road.
Wow.
After 7 kilometers.
That's a bet I won't mind losing.
So we can get there. But we need a government. In that situation, political situation, the dynamics are different. When President Kagame speaks, everybody listens. In Ghana, if our president were to speak about sanitation, it will be seen in partisan light. We have to stop that. because disease has no preference for any political party. It can affect you, it can affect me.
So what you mean is that National Sanitation Day can fix the situation we have?
It may help. The Ghanaians have to not only change their attitude, because attitudinal change does not change people's habit. We have to change the attitude and change our habits, because I see Ghanaians, big cars, Mercedes-Benz, four-wheel drives, dropping garbage on the street as they drive. If you're a middle-class person, if you're an upper-class person, if you're an educated person, and you go about dirtying your environment, I think you don't have the respect that society should give you.
Which brings me to the second part of the question, because we've had National Sanitation Day for over a year. I mean, since the major outbreak in 2014, we've had it here with us, but our streets are the way they are. Is it a waste of time or is it a success?
It's not a waste of time. Ghanaians are a very difficult group of people. We are almost docile to the point of not causing any public mayhem. But there are times that we become very antisocial in certain areas. And when it comes to sanitation, we are extremely antisocial. We do not see the point of aesthetics of Ghana being a beautiful place. This country is so beautiful when you travel through it, naturally. But human settlements have contributed to making this country not too handsome anymore. I didn't grow up in a filthy country, but when I returned after almost 20 years of being out, I realized that the dynamics, the social dynamics, simply change. No ethics, no morality when it comes to certain things, which concerns the entire community. We need to develop our communitarian spirit, that we are each other's keeper.
Wow. So beyond what we have discussed in terms of these policies we would need in terms of a National Sanitation Day, would you say the efforts we are making at the moment are enough as they are to avert this disaster?
We can do more. The sanitation courts have to work really, really hard to ensure that people are punished appropriately. The environmental health officers, government may have to increase their numbers and empower them. As I noticed in Kumasi, they've started already on the spot summoning of people, and that they become very ethical in the execution of their duties and not use it for rent-seeking behaviors, because Ghanaians sometimes we have a tendency to bastardize anything that is good for us into the realm of stupidity. I believe that we need to have a lot more responsible people. If you were to tax everybody, then everybody will create a critical mass to be responsible for sanitation. And people will begin to be the police officers and policemen for sanitation.
So what would be that final piece of advice you have for us, both to leadership and the general public?
My message today is that cholera is real and that people should pay attention and maintain the environment in hygienic condition. If your water source is doubtful, boil it. If your vegetables and food sources coming from markets that are already filthy, and our markets are really filthy places, stinking places, they need to clean their vegetables and fruit before they eat it. But in a country where momoni and kobe is such an important part of spicing our food, it's difficult for people to transition from eating momoni to cleaning their vegetables.
Well, when you mentioned more money there, I was wondering if I can survive without it. Now, I was doing a bit of reading before I came on air. I realized that we had some 17,000 cases of cholera somewhere in 2014 into 2015. But in 2016, it dropped to 695 with our 10 deaths as of vis-a-vis about 150 in the years before. What do you think worked and caused that transition between, you know, the peak of the cholera outbreak and the year immediately after? What do you think worked for us?
I think the situation is attributable to a few things. Media houses like yours are constantly on the issue of sanitation. And then Ghana Health Service outreach programs also work. Public health associations, it was a collective effort of society that helped to reduce the numbers, the frequency, and the prevalence. I believe that we can do the same. And we need to pay attention to our environment, because that is all that we got.
Yeah, talking about the environment, some would say that the way some of our communal centers are structured and are positioned is a part of it. Looking at where our markets are positioned, for instance, some have called for a relocation of markets because, you know, markets seem to attract a lot of waste and they are there for a long time and it's difficult to clear them out. Would you say this is advisable, relocating markets?
Part of it is that I believe that is part of it, but also the design of our markets are primitive. They are so basic. It's as if we don't have people with architectural training in this country. I think we need to transcend what we have today to a higher level. And we need to have sanitation facilities, toilets, and other places for people to be able to clean. Because after you clean your market store, let's say Mala Market, where do you put it? Where are you going to dump it? It's already overflowing. And so I think that we are not capable as a people to live with systems and observe them religiously. And that's what we euphemistically call lack of maintenance culture.
You know, a big part of that maintenance culture is also population growth, because my mind goes to my hometown of Takrady, where we have a beautiful market circle, which was originally built to be able to have cars, fire tenders drive into the middle of the market. Today, because of the booming population, those roads have been closed down and you can barely walk through. You have to squeeze yourself through. So isn't that also a part of what the problem has become when it comes to design of these communal spaces?
I think if you blame the problem on population, you are actually denying the existence of God. So as a Christian, and you also, I believe that it's not the size of the population, it's the lack of discipline. We are not teaching our children good values. Children are growing up all by themselves. You go to university, the dormitories are not clean, it's congested. You grow up in such ecosystem, you do not really know the difference between beauty and filth.
So it then becomes an acculturation issue. I think we are moving into the reasons for our insanitary condition are very, very wide. But we would have to end it here. Let me take your final words on this issue before we go.
I think Ghana has a right to the life of every living person in this country. And we don't want to lose anyone. And that is why we, at the Ghana Public Health Association, are taking a proactive position towards informing the public to be careful of the environment, to clean their hands. If the water source is not good, like I said, cook it, boil it. And anyone with an Android phone can get onto the internet. The information is there about what to do to keep yourself and your family safe.
But can we win this war against cholera?
We can win the war against cholera or any disease in Ghana if the people want it. If the people don't want it, no matter what government does, it won't change anything. So we have to decide that we're going to live in a beautiful, clean country, so that when you dress up to go to church or to go to the office, your environment reflects you, because you are your environment.
Thank you very much, Dr. Norman. He's He's with the Ghana Public Health Association.
Yeah.
He's the chairman of the Disaster Management Control
Health
Emergency
yes.
Committee.
Yes.
Yes, of the Ghana Public Health Association. We're very grateful for your time.